Full time at the Meadow, Shrewsbury Town have been beaten by 3-0 by Charlton. A poor performance, a really disappointing result. Everyone is understandably fuming with the result. Is it an overreaction? What do you think?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's always a knee-jerk reaction to a bad result and a bad performance. I think some would say it's not knee-jerk because Town are 18th for 3 points, clear the drop zone, which I entirely understand and agree with. Comfortably, soundly beaten 3-0 by Charlton today. Could and should, as Lee Bowyer, a Charlton manager, has said, been more if it weren't for Steve Arnold.
Oh, absolutely.
6 or 7. It was a very, very bad second 45. I think Charlton shaded the first half, but there wasn't much in it. Town probably deserved to be level at the break. Some bad defending from a corner cost them that. Second half, as the manager Sam Ricketts has said, very, very poor. The most disappointed he's been since he's been here, which is what, some 6 weeks. And you can see why. I mean, I've just done the reaction piece now, and he's talked about confidence as mainly. He says 1-0 when it went to 2-0. You know, game's still live at 2-0. He says confidence just drained from his players, and heads sort of went down. And I mean, he's talked about a fragile mentality, fragile nature, which is a little alarming to hear manager call his players fragile. Because you're right, at 2-0, even if it's not going well, you only need a fluky goal and it's game on. But 3-0 does not sum up the game, does it really? It should have been a 4 or 5. Charlton just went.
And that's not even necessarily based on the performances of the two sides, even just based on the chances alone. Charlton had so many clear-cut chances in that second half, 3 or 4 that they scuppered.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, there was, Lyle Taylor up front is great at this division. He probably should be playing in the Championship. The lad alongside him, Kalan, Grant, also very good. Johnny Williams, who they've just signed from Crystal Palace, I mean, far too good as well. Charlton going forward outclassed Town, but Town lost. Totally, you could see from the stands, I don't know if fans agree or you agree, but you could see confidence sort of draining from individuals, notably Luke Waterfall, who had a very forgettable day, a very poor afternoon for him. Really tough one. So much pace in that Charlton front line. Town couldn't deal with it. Going back to your original point about the overreaction.
Well, yeah, just to jump in here to mention something that I've been tweeted a couple of times. A couple of fans of us speak to outside said the same thing, and I know a lot of callers to the local radio that we were listening to next to us were saying the same thing. A few people said that if that performance was under John Askey, it would be the end of the world for Town fans.
Yeah. Well, let's be fair. I mean, to the radio, to me on Twitter and so on, there were some really, really, really angry responses calling for, in my opinion, silly things at this point. 6 weeks after a manager's appointment, where there haven't been many defeats, there haven't been many performances like that, if any. Perhaps Fleetwood away, certainly the first half there was a little like the second half today, but not as bad. The manager rightly says it's as disappointed as he has been. The worrying thing is confidence. I think there's not been many performances. Town have been in all the games. They've matched the Sunderlands. Stoke was a cup game, but they've matched them. They've been better than a lot of sides, drawn when they should have won, and that's why they're in such a precarious position, because when they've been better they haven't got the 3 points they deserve, and that's why they've been pegged back. That's why they're 18th, 3 points from the drop zone. It's a difficult one, isn't it, because the players have shown they can compete, whether, as we've probably said all season, whether there is the cutting edge in this group at the minute, I doubt. And of course there's a lot of work to be done in the window. You'd think Ricketts wants to bring attackers in, centre forwards, to make the difference there. It's a goalkeeper situation to sort out, but at the back today, Town it was where the difference was, wasn't it? The pace and the movement and the strength as well of the front lads, Town couldn't deal with, and it was second half was worrying in how the confidence sort of seeped out the players, and Charlton just kept coming and kept coming. Town couldn't gather themselves. I mean, we haven't even mentioned his name yet, but Dave Edwards came on 13 minutes before time. Looks like he might have picked up a groin injury, but a great reception and good moment for him coming on, but even that didn't salvage any sort of joy from today with that, because of how it went. Heaviest home defeat since October 2016. That's well over 2 years since pre-Paul Hurst. So they're really chasing in day. I said that Town were humbled on home soil, and Charlton are probably the best side I've seen this season, I would say. And yeah, they've got embarrassment of riches. Aribo's injured, sorry, Fosu didn't even get on the pitch. They should really be going for it. Let's remember that Charlton are decent, but I think if Town could have matched their first half performance, while I don't think they would necessarily have got a point from it, they'd have been there or thereabouts. Of course, at 0-0, Josh Loren has the massive Town's biggest chance by a mile, and he hit it fairly cleanly, hit it well enough. It just went straight at the keeper. If that goes in, it's a different game. I think. Obviously, we'll never know. Second half disappointing, and I get the boos at full time. Whether they're aimed to I'm sure they're aimed to the players and the manager. I think they're acceptable boos. I think after a defeat like that at home, I think you've got to take that on the chin as footballers and as a manager. It was a very bad day at the office, and you've got to take. Obviously the fans paid the money for that one, so yeah, probably warranted.
Yeah, if I can pick some positives from the day, 2 people who I thought had good performances in a Town shirt. Ryan Haynes.
Yeah, good.
And notably, and I think we have already switched on it, Steve Arnold in goal.
Well, that's
pulled off a number. I mean, he sort of almost let himself down in the second half with a couple of badly placed goal kicks, but particularly the first half of the second period, I felt like he pulled off some stops that really kept Shrewsbury in touch with Charlton for as long as they could.
The issue is it's of little consolation that the keeper's the man of the match, because that just says how one-sided it is. It's not cheering anyone up. I mean, Sam Ricketts says Steve Arnold's really just doing his job. He'd rather he didn't have to make that many saves, but he's just doing his job.
Of course.
So fans, I know, you did your player ratings, and I know a lot of fans saying you're generous there, but I mean, obviously it's easy for fans to just go through the board and give 2 or 3s out of 10. But realistically, from what we're doing as reporters, that's not realistic in how it was, because that happens if maybe you get beat 5 or 6 or whatever. First half, Town players weren't that under par at all. They were competing, and it was a game where Charlton were breaking. They got that pace on the break, and Town were committed men. They were probing, knitting nice midfield moves together, which were, they were sending the fullbacks forward, you had your midfielders around the edge of the box, and Charlton were breaking. There was no cutting edge for Town. Charlton were breaking, and you were looking at Grant and Taylor running at Waterfall and Sadler. I mean, 2 aging centre halves with no real pace. So, first half Town were competing, but Charlton worked the game plan well and worked to their advantage, and they're a handful for anyone. And Waterfall takes some coming back from today, a particularly tough day at the office for him.
Especially with Beckles waiting in the wings as well.
Yeah, I did a story last week that Omar Beckles, manager, sees him as a centre half and he wants to play there. If he doesn't think he's got a chance of coming in for Waterfall after that, then I'm not sure when he thinks.
Exactly.
Waterfall got caught 2 or 3 times before the first half opener. Pace over the top. Grant ran away from him for a ball, forced to say from Arnold, that went for the corner for the first goal, which Waterfall then headed against his own post. It might have been an own goal, but Lyle Taylor popped it over the line. I mean, he tried to clear his header, didn't he, from the corner, but just nodded it against the post. One of those days for him. But then kept swinging at air in the second half. The second goal, Darren Prattley's rocketed it into the top corner from the edge of the box, but it's another miss kick from Waterfall in the box. He did it again about 10 minutes later. That should have made it 3-0. Lyle Taylor missed, went close. A bad day for him, but you can't just single him out, because I don't feel there were many, if any. You touched on Haynes. He did okay. He was good footwork. Good, had a couple of good attacking moments.
I felt like maybe he had a helping hand in that. I felt like Charlton was so narrow that maybe he didn't have too many people running at him specifically, but still I felt like we had to give him credit for that performance.
Perhaps it's time to look at the diamond, whether they can look at some width, but there isn't too much of that at the moment with Sean Worley still out. Gilead came on and looked bright for 5 minutes. Then there's Issa obviously waiting to come in, and who knows what transfers lie ahead. Obviously Sam Ricketts got work to do in a number of positions, notably in goal. Danny Coyne was on the bench today, 45-year-old first team coach, not ideal. Stoke City FA Cup game coming on Tuesday. There's all kinds of rules and regulations to sort out with that. I mean, Dave Edwards isn't eligible for that. I don't believe Coyne is, but it's a very grey area. Ricketts wasn't too sure himself, but it doesn't look like, to me, even if they sign a goalkeeper between now and Stoke,
he can't play in that.
He won't be able to play. So from how I see it here, Steve Arnold's the only the only keeper. I can't see how they're going to name, unless they find a loophole in the rules, or they can't get an emergency loan in anything. So that's threadbare. We expect some movement in goals, certainly. And I think it's probably right to close this video. I don't know what you think, but the table situation that dropped from 16th to 18th today. Fortunate not to lose any ground in terms of the points. It's 3 points. I don't know what you think about that, but you understand the fans, don't you? Because they look at the table and see 18th, 3 points from the bottom four.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we've at any stage been this close to the bottom four. Am I right in saying that?
No. Well, when it was, on the run that Town really picked up the results under Danny Coyne and Eric Ramsey, the gap went to a good 7 or 8 points.
Yeah.
And at that point, when you got a new manager coming in, the new manager's first results are okay. You kind of think we're a long way from this bottom four, 7 or 8 points, but it's down to 3 now. Fortunately, sides didn't cut that today. The likes of Plymouth, Bristol Rovers didn't win, and there's another side that didn't win. So
Bradford.
Yeah, it's 3 points, luckily. But that, I think it'd be interesting ahead of next week to hear what the manager says about it. But I asked him about it on Thursday before this game, and he didn't see it as, he wasn't concerned about that 3 point gap, because he said, look, so many games to go, so tight, a couple of wins mid-table. But I'm sure behind the scenes, he's wary of what's going on at the table. I spoke with James Bolton. He said that it's if you're 3 points above the drop zone heading into, in Jan, then of course you're fighting the drop, aren't you? You're battling with the teams just below you for relegation. So let's see how that progresses further down. It's a slight break, isn't there, with the FA Cup, and I don't know if that's a wanted or unwanted break at this point, to be honest. But let's see. I understand the alarm. Looking at the table, not so much. I don't want to use the word knee-jerk, but I think it's easy to remember that second half and how bad it was. Let's hope it's a one-off. Ricketts says he knows where his team need to learn from it, and he knows what went wrong. So let's hope that it is a one-off 45. Because like we said, the first half was okay, and they competed with a good side. So they can't let that second 45 creep into their performances, which as a whole have been pretty good under Ricketts and not brought what they deserved.
For all of the reaction from today's game, keep it shropshirestyle.com.